Hello, everybody, and welcome to another MyMusic. Now, today I have someone in the studio who's actually bought their guitar, which is always fun. Look at that. And it's not just hung on a wall. He's been diddly whittling in the background whilst we were warming up for the show. So if you never know, if you stay tuned after this little advertisement from the people at Analog Trash, he may even whittly for you.
Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop.
Niran, thank you so much for joining me.
No worries.
Where are you coming from?
Manchester. So
Manchester, as they like to call it. Yeah. So how long have you been playing?
So I've been a guitarist and a bass player for about 10, 15 years now. I actually don't know when I really started my career.
Wow.
This project or band, whatever you want to call it, it's been going for about 4 years now, and we've just sort of been jamming and rehearsing, recording stuff, creating video content and all, and we were sort of just waiting for the right moment to release it. And that was it. Last Sunday was that day, basically. And, you know, it's a bit of a slow burner, this one.
And Grizzabella was born into the world. Why the name?
Right. So basically, the theatre show Cats has a cat in it called Grizzabella, and we thought that it was a terrible musical, so we thought we'd name our band. It was mainly for the fact that most of the other band names we came up with had already been taken, so we're looking for something that nobody would ever search on Spotify.
Yeah, it sounds pretty hardcore, doesn't it? You know,
it does, and to be honest, it does embody us. Like just the sort of first 5 letters, Grizz, they sort of make you think of grizzly bear, and that's what we kind of want from our music. It's like there's a harsher element to it, there is heaviness to it. Like some of us in the band were sort of angsty teenage metalheads when we were teenagers, but then the Bella part of it sort of juxtaposes with that, and the Bella is sort of the sort of sweet, soothing melodies we're trying to chuck over the top of it. It's that sort of sweet and sour we're going for, and that name. Like,
do you like a sweet and sour?
Oh yeah, of course. Who doesn't?
Yeah. Well,
tension and release. That is the source of all things in the world.
You say that. My wife isn't fond of sweet and sour.
Is she not?
No, not certainly not on the food side of things. So she never likes putting like savoury with sweet.
So miss it out. Absolutely miss. Does she like sweet and salty?
Oh goodness, yeah. I mean, she likes. We diversify on this show and go off in some really weird. If we order a Chinese takeaway, we typically go for pepper. Beef in black pepper sauce.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. And then we probably have king prawn cashew nuts.
King prawn cashew. That's a bit sweet, isn't it?
It's a little bit, but it's seafoody, so it's not. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. I feel you. I completely feel you on that.
And chicken chow mein. There you go, folks. If ever I'm in your neck of the woods and you want to buy me Chinese, you now know what to order. The numbers will probably vary from restaurant to restaurant.
Oh no, we'll have to read the menu.
Yeah, actually have to read the menu out. So, how did you all meet? How did you come together? And why wait so long as well? Why wait so long?
So the thing is, it's there's a lot of reasons for this. So 4 of the members of the band have been in other original music projects before. So like one of our guitarists, Lewis, and our bass player, Pete, was in a band called House of Hatchets. And they did all right in the sort of streaming world. You know, one of their songs got 1 million hits on Spotify, but they just couldn't make it work because they couldn't get together and you know, post properly. They couldn't gig properly because some of them lived in Scotland, and it just sort of fell apart. And then the drummer, Tom, he was in a band called May the Night Bless You with Heavenly Dreams, a sort of post-rock trio that I believe made some of the best music I've heard in my life. And it just didn't happen, and because of organizational issues, people not putting money behind the right things, people not making certain things look the best quality they could be, or not paying enough to get the best recording gear to record the sounds that they've written right. All of these things have been compromised on previously in their previous acts. And they sort of came to this project saying, right, we're going to do it properly. I, for one, I used to be in a sort of tech metal outfit called Korok, and that never went anywhere due to the sheer unreliability of the other musicians. Like, there was some of the most fun I had playing music was with those guys, and we never got to our first gig because they just couldn't rehearse the stuff they'd written, basically. So we're now at this point where we're all a bit older now. None of us are teenagers anymore. We're all like 27 to 29. And we've all got our lives going on. And if we're going to do it, we want to do it properly. That's our modus operandi. And then it sort of came to a sort of boiling point last year. So I'm now a father of a 4-month-old child.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And around November last year, a month before my little daughter was due, I sort of got the band together and I said, right, how are we going to play this? Because we used to sort of jam and rehearse every week. Are we going to do this or not? And the band sort of said, yeah, right, it doesn't matter how busy you are, Niran. We're all getting in gear now. We're going to put this stuff out on the internet. And the thing is, we've got loads of content back. So we've got like 7 odd songs professionally recorded, 3 more on the way. We've got 2 music videos done. One of them's out. And it's now at that boiling point where we've got enough to just start putting ourselves out to the world, even if I'm too busy or even if, other things are happening. We've got it in us now to do it. So now was the tipping point for it to happen, basically. And we figured if we could do it while, I'm sort of becoming a father and taking a little bit of a step back from it, that if it can still work through that, then we've actually passed the test and we can keep this going for the future.
Cool. Are you now at that age with the other responsibilities, etc.? Are you more realistic about where this goes, or I don't want to say it like that but what I'm saying is, are you less ambitious about where it goes, or are you still fundamentally ambitious about where it goes? Because this is an interesting conversation for a lot of people to hear of a certain age who may be making music, right? And actually what you've highlighted so far in that whole conversation, some really interesting points, which I hope anyone that's younger and is listening to this, who's a musician, needs to hear about all the things that can stop things happening for a musician. And thank you for doing that and being so brutally honest about it as well. But where are you now with it? Are you at a point where, as long as we are happy with what we do, we're happy? Or are you, we need to be completely happy with this, but also, yes, we'd love more recognition for this?
Okay, so where we're at now is kind of the opposite of what you said at the beginning. You said, now the responsibilities are kicking in, we're a little bit older, we might have slightly, quote unquote, more realistic expectations. I think it's the other way around. Now that these responsibilities have kicked in, we've sort of all gone, right, okay, this is something serious. We all care about this. We've all put our money, time, blood, sweat, and tears into it. We've all just sort of, it was me even starting that conversation last year that sort of kicked everyone into gear. So we now work 50 times harder on this than we did before in ways that are productive for the release of this stuff. We don't feel like it's worth kicking the can down the road anymore, waiting for the perfect time. We're like, this is it. Now's the time. And, if one member of the band's got a lot on, other people pick up the slack for them, kind of thing. So our guitarist Lewis right now, he tours with another show called it's Man in the Mirror. It's a Michael Jackson tribute that I actually used to be part of. He's got a lot of gigs on. He's got like 80, 90 gigs a year as a professional musician. He also studies as well. He's a coding engineer at the same time. And so he's doing less of the bits and we're doing more of the bits, but it doesn't matter. We're all like sort of hyper motivated to sort of fill that void and go for it now, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
What
would it take? What would it take for everybody to just go, right, other than money, obviously, but what would it take? What would it take to happen tomorrow for everybody to go, right, that's it, we quit everything else that we're doing and we are on the road, we're touring, you know, because again, this is really interesting conversation that no one ever has in these kind of podcasts, and I'd love to have it with you because you're at this point, right? But what would it take to realize that, and for you to go, right, we quit the day jobs, we do this, we put it on to, you know, it's a lot, isn't it?
It's a tough one. So, like, out of the 5 of us, 4 of us are professional musicians outside of this band. So our gig anyway is, so for instance, after this, I'm going to go play a wedding tonight.
Cool.
So, like, I usually play on bass. I own a wedding band. Pete, our bass player, is actually going to be playing bass tonight for that. Tom and Lewis, they're all in that band, and they all go and do their other various musical projects. The only one with a day job is our singer, Sarah. And so I think, I don't know, I think it would have to be a money thing for us to sort of synchronize that in a way where we can fit it into our gigging schedules. But I honestly don't know. We haven't thought that far ahead when it comes to touring and stuff like that. So far, we're just at base level. We'll see what opportunities arise to us as we go forward. We're going to play to people as and when we can, in ways that sort of, you know, say if there's a paid gig that with that in our normal careers that we have to take, we might have to put Grizzabella to the side and take that paid gig. But in I don't know. I think we're sort of taking it how it comes right now. It's kind of hard to say yes or no. But if there was a touring opportunity and a singer could get the time off work for it, and sort of, you know, made it financially viable for us as gigging musicians to sort of lose some of the paid gigs we'd get. Yeah. I couldn't see why we wouldn't.
Okay, I'm going to put it to you a slightly different way. If there was a band out there, right, that maybe everybody in the band likes, who said tomorrow, you're coming on the road with us, you're the support slot, who would the band be, and B, would that be like, yeah, we've got to do this?
They'd have to be pretty big, because our singer would have to get time off work. As in the rest of our stuff, like, I'm pretty sure you could find deps for most of our gigs that we have usually. Deps being deputies, being people that could fill in for us. A lot of the covers gigs that we do for a living. But it'd have to be a pretty big band, I think. I don't know how much time off work Sarah's got left this year.
All right, Sarah, I hope you're listening, because we're gonna make this happen now, right? And so, you know, just pre-warn your boss. Just pre-warn your boss that this might happen. So, who is there? Someone that all of the band like gel with in terms of inspiration that you would go, oh yeah, that would just be the dream ticket?
Well, to be honest, I think if someone massive, like, I don't know, Block Party or Wombats came up to us, like, we'd all just be like, yeah, they all make cool music. Even if some of us in the band don't listen to them, I think we'd fit in right with them. It'd have to be someone with the fans of the people who are going to that big gig would actually like us. So, for instance, like, we knew some guys called, from our old uni, there's a band called Porridge. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're from
Yes, I do know Porridge, yeah.
They're doing all right for themselves. And I saw them supporting Coldplay last year. Maybe it was the year before. And don't get me wrong, I love Porridge's music. I think they're awesome. No one sounds like them, and they deserve to be as prolific as they are. I listen to their stuff half the time. And their old singer, Tommy Villiers, I listen to his music as well. Like, they're just geniuses, a lot of them. I don't know how many Coldplay fans would like their music. Do you know what I mean? And it just seemed like a weird juxtaposition between the two there. And so...
Although I think that's something that Chris Martin deliberately tries to do, because I think he deliberately, I've heard him speak about this a little bit, and I think he deliberately tries to put himself back into his shoes when he was 18.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think he realizes that responsibility. So I think a lot of the music he listens to outside of Coldplay isn't like Coldplay as well. So,
yeah. Well, that's how you stay inspired. And that's why I've got the musicians I've gotten in this band. So I put it all together. This is kind of my baby. I put in a lot of the writing, but we say it's all equal because it basically is in terms of the amount of work people have put in. But like, the sort of creative direction was mine. And I chose people who I thought all sounded different. And they sound different because they've got different influences. And that level of eclecticism is what I think will make a unique sound. So maybe it would be the case that if we were in Coldplay's shoes, we would do the same, be pulling in random bands from random genres and stuff like that. But if I'm in my shoes now with this band, if we were to go and take a tour, like a massive tour like that, it'd have to, because you know, I can't imagine they'd pay us millions of pounds being a support act. You'd sort of get a standard fee, I'm guessing. I don't know how many, like, depending on the size of the act, how many tickets we could pull at this stage. So if there'd need to be some sort of benefit to us afterwards, where the people going to this tour might go, oh bloody hell, I like the support act. So I went to see Bring Me the Horizon last year. My wife bought me tickets for my birthday, and I saw a band called Bad Omens in the who were supporting them, and I thought, wow, these guys are great, and I would listen to them because they're kind of in the same vibe. And one of my favorite bands ever is a band called The Contortionists. They're like a prog metal band from America. They were supporting a band called Tesseract. Don't know if you've heard of them.
Yes, I know Tesseract. Yeah.
Yeah, big UK metal band from Milton Keynes. And I went to see Tesseract, and I saw Contortionists in the support slot, and my jaw was on the floor. And I don't think I could have seen Contortionists in any other gig setting where my jaw would have been on the floor. It had to be right, because it had to be that, because I'm there to go see some prog metal, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, yeah. No,
So
that makes total sense. That makes total sense. So if Coldplay called,
we've been debating about it for weeks, I think.
I think you'd be debating about it, but I think you'd go.
Depends on the length of the tour. Like, you know, how, like, if this is something that, like, we'd have to jeopardize parts of our normal careers for.
Yeah.
How many dates would it be? If it was 3 dates, like, I don't know, Thursday through to Saturday, yeah, I think we'd all just do it. I think, like, Sarah might pull a sickie at work or something if our boss isn't watching. But like, and if it's evenings, that'd be fine. And if you know, it's not in a foreign country, like where we'd have to travel 3 days before or something like that, yeah, fine. Yeah. And you know, I had a mate, and she was potentially, I'm not going to mention her name, she was meant to be playing pedal steel for Coldplay on that same tour. And it was 4 dates across a weekend. So it was fine. Like, it was 2 of them in Manchester. I can't remember where the other 2 were. They sacked pedal steel on that in the end, so she never got the gig. But she's like, that's fine. I could just dep up my other work. I have a bit of a day job going. I can sort it out for 2 days. If they're asking for like a month, things get difficult. And it'd have to be so consequential that the knock-on effects of that tour meant we could continue this band almost as a career afterwards.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's a great conversation today. Thank you for this, because this is how knife edge any kind of career in music is.
Yeah. To be honest, like, I was speaking to a couple of other people about this, and they were like, well, you've got 4 session musicians in your band, people who are musicians that do it for a living, so they can dep out their gigs. They're all freelancers. No one has a job in music. We all do gigs as they come in. What do we take? Whatever we can to pay our bills. But we've got one person in the band that's got a full-time job. Why? And that people ask me, why did I not go for somebody that is a full-time musician? I don't think session singers write good music. I think people who don't do this for a living write great lyrics and great melodies and have more character, kind of thing. That was an intentional choice to find someone who isn't part of the session world, kind of thing. And I don't know, I mean, you might have heard our song, you might not have, but I think she sounds unique. No one sounds like her. And the flair and the sort of intricacy she brings to the rehearsal room are completely out of our world. They're sort of they bring an extra flavor. So I've intentionally gone with a more difficult setup in this band for the sound, and I think it's gonna be hard going forward because of that. But I think that'll make our music better, which is what I'm here for in a way.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that.
It might be quite an opinionated take, that, but like,
no, not at all. I mean,
I work with a lot of singers, like for my job.
Well, growing up, so I was in a band from 14, and then, you know, later on, I carried on. I was in a signed band by 21, but I also did some band management along the way as well, and it was really interesting. I worked with some great musicians who were session musicians and could play anything. Yeah. Right. But couldn't write toffee.
Yeah.
Right. Because, you know, they were so structured in their musicality that they just couldn't break rules, right? They were like, well, you can't, we can't put that with that. Why not? You know, oh, it can't sound like that. Why not?
Well, then people ask me the question, okay, so why did you go for session musicians at all in some of your bands? And I was like, first of all, they're my mates. I know them. I know what they sound like. I went to uni with them. They're all great. The second thing is, I like all of the music they've put out before in their other original projects. Yeah. So like, I already like their sound, so I know they're not going to have that issue of like writer's block and stuff like that because they've done it before. And also as well, some of the parts I write are like a little bit difficult. It reduces our rehearsal time if I'm sort of
sure. No, that makes sense. People actually need to understand, you know, that isn't written in the key of Yale.
Yeah, and also like, if you pay for studio time, it's not cheap. Like if you're going to get something recorded really well, and you don't have a guy with £20,000 worth of like recording gear in your band and mixing engineering skills, like you've got to fork out for that. So if you've got someone who's going to spend 20 minutes in the recording studio as opposed
to perfect it,
or as opposed to someone who's going to spend 20 hours, that's it's much more cost effective for us. We can put out more music and get further out there quicker. So there's that weird juxtaposition of session musicians and a non-session musician that really makes the character of this band, and that's why I think I've stumbled on something unique.
I think every musician along their journey into musicianship should go and watch Bad News, the documentary spoof film. Did you ever see that?
Do you know what? I think someone mentioned it to me on a gig a few months ago, but could you just recap to me what it's about?
So it Ade Edmondson, Rick Mayall, and that whole group of comedians, they formed a spoof band called Bad News at one point. It's a bit like Spinal Tap,
right?
Very Spinal Tappy. But there's a scene in the sort of film about it. They actually played Donington and filmed that as part of the thing, and had like stuff thrown at them and whatever. It was great. Bless them. And to be fair, Ade Edmondson's actually a really proficient musician. I mean, he was in his own band called the Bad Shepherds for a while, where they played punk versions of folk songs and folk versions of punk songs. It was absolutely fantastic. But there's this scene in there where the bass player is terrible, right? Yeah. And then they send the bass player out to the shops to get stuff while they're in the studio. And of course, the lead guitarist goes and does all of the bass parts while comes back and he's like, oh yeah, the bass sounds really, that's not me.
At least he's willing to admit it.
So I just think, everyone, you kind of need to watch that, and if any of it rings true, you know who to get rid of in the band.
Oh no,
you've got to be dogmatic about this stuff, right? Because it will cost you an awful lot of money if you've got to just do it over and over again. Back in the day it was fine. We used to go to studios for like 6 cans of lager and 50 quid. You can't do that anymore. That sort of thing just doesn't exist anymore. So you've got to get it right. So look, you're about to put all of this stuff out to the world. Now's where it all happens. I'm guessing one of the things that you might hope that happens with some of this is you grow a decent fan base, right? So that actually you can start to build that community and monetize that community and stuff like that as well. But I guess one of the other things that bands can do these days, they used to be able to write Christmas songs, right? And a good Christmas song used to set you up for life.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely, right? But if you buy a Now That's What I Call Christmas, or other CDs do exist now, it's still the same Christmas songs that we had like 20, 30 years ago. Maybe the odd Ed Sheeran, Elton John thrown in for good luck or whatever. But mainly it's like the songs of the past. No one's really writing the big Christmas hit anymore because they've already been written. But what is happening is things like syncs. So, you know, maybe that's something that you can think about.
What do you mean by
yeah.
syncs?
So getting your music into a film, an advert, or whatever.
Well, to be honest, my little sister and her boyfriend were over at mine the other day, and they said I should get my song on FIFA. So I did a bit of Googling as to how that happens. And that's a more who you know, not what you know sort of process. Yeah, well, getting it featured in places. One thing I thought would be cool, well, is I found a lot of good music from just being a doom scrolling Zoomer and, you know, looking at Instagram stories a lot of the time, basically. And my mate Sasha, he posts loads of cool videos of what he's doing in his life. It's a really interesting dude, but he always puts interesting music over the top of it because you can sync up music to it. And I always click on the tunes and be like, oh, what's this? Alan Holdsworth, right? Interesting kind of thing. So like, I'm just gonna like inadvertently use our song with a lot of Instagram stories and see what happens with that, and hopefully people do that.
That's a good call. That is
you know
good
what
call.
Christmas hit. So you say there hasn't been a new Christmas hit. I don't know the names of them, but there's like there are a few 2010s one that you wouldn't get on a Christmas CD that are pretty massive. I think it's just people who would buy a CD want the older stuff. Like, if that makes any sense. I think we're a dying breed, people who buy CDs.
Well, I agree with that. I also think that we perhaps need people to bring back a good Christmas song.
Right.
You know?
Okay. Maybe. Yeah.
Like,
Tell you what, I'm game. I'll think about it.
I just think, you know, maybe some of the more modern Christmas songs are just a little bit lame compared with the absolute classics.
Yeah, I'm on the same page there. I think they're naff.
Yeah, a lot of them are just like, you know, it's actually just a normal song, but it's got a bit of sleigh bell in it somewhere or whatever.
That's it. And they're talking about something wholesome. And the video is showing Christmas Day.
Yeah, but you know, if you feel that you can go and write another White Christmas or Last Christmas, you know, I think why not go and do it.
You know what? I think one of the best Christmas songs was the one that Darkness did. I can't remember. That would have been like 2000s time, wouldn't it?
That was good, actually. That was good. That is probably one of the last ones that was really there.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. Yeah, and it was sort of everyone knew it kind of thing. Maybe it's the fact that like we sort of internet shop these days, because like when I was a kid, like you if you went Christmas shopping, like you wouldn't be able to walk in the shops where I was from, kind of thing. And like everyone was just listening to Christmas tunes. They were out shopping the whole time, kind of thing.
Right.
I found myself like now I've got my own place and we live with my wife, kind of thing. We just do our Christmas shopping online, a lot of it, kind of thing. I go out to the shop, but my wife, she does all of it online, kind of thing. So you're not out there listening to the Christmas tunes the same way as we were when we were kids, kind of thing.
Why? That's a good point. It's a really good point. Why do online shopping sites not do that to you? Why do they not force you? Yeah, why do they not force you to play? Yeah, why do they? Amazon, if you're listening, why don't you do that? Why don't you come Christmas time? Why don't you make people listen to Christmas music while you're doing shopping for Christmas goods online? That'd be
and they'd make more money because people spend more when they're in the Christmas spirit. People spend their whole bank account over Christmas, so like, you know, it's genius.
In fact, do you know what we've just done there? We've actually developed something amazing for Amazon, because they've obviously got a music listening service as well. So they literally could have it playing, and then they could go, you know, click through and then go like, oh, subscribe to this music service.
It's genius.
It is. It's absolutely genius. That's you're a genius, sir. That should happen.
Glad you had me, Josh.
Thank you so much for coming and telling us a little bit. Well, you didn't play your guitar. What we should do is, very quickly, grab your guitar, and what we need is your current favorite chord. Just your current favorite chord.
Oh, that's an interesting one. So it's the James Bond chord. It's the minor major 7, minor major 9. I'm a bit out of tune.
Ah, yes, it is. Dum 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 dum. Brilliant.
Yeah, there it is.
There you go.
My drummer Tom, he whenever he's playing guitar for whatever reason, like he'll just end the song with that, and we will all be in stitches. Just whatever the song, it could be the happiest song ever, and you'll hear at the end of it.
I think that's great. I think you should see how long you can hold that chord for.
whilst maintaining eye contact with the audience,
but not moving.
I'll get the longest reverb pedal in the whole world and just make it go forever.
Yeah, absolutely. I got completely lost last night watching a guy explaining like how when you play certain chords with a fuzz pedal that they don't work because of the intonation between the notes, and you then have to break that up into intonations that work with the because of what the fuzz pedal does and how it sort of breaks up the amazing, absolutely amazing.
Like AC/DC pioneered that, I'm pretty sure, because they play really big chords where it's using all 6 strings, but if you put a lot of distortion through it, it just exactly what you says happens. So they've got like a heavier distortion recording sort of the lower half of the chord, and then a less distortion recording the higher part of the chord. And then you listen to the AC/DC records and they sound flipping massive. They sound absolutely gargantuan even today if you crank them up, because of the way they were recorded. And that's something I've nicked for our tunes, actually.
There you go. You see, look at the great stuff you can learn when you filter through the internet.
Oh, for sure. No one in the band likes AC/DC for sure, but we can't knock them for that.
You can't knock them for creating that. Niran, thank you so much for coming in and joining me today and talking a little bit about your journey so far and where it's all going to go. I wish you the best for your music in the future and this project. And what we'd love people to do now is to go and find your music. So what we'll do is we're going to add some music of yours to the MyMusic podcast playlist, and we want you all to go and add it to your playlist too, because that'd be brilliant. And I shall be inviting you after this into the MyMusic podcast community as well, and hopefully there you'll find some other people that love music, and hopefully that will help along the way as well. Folks, you can go and join that as well. You find the details at mymusicpodcast.com, where you can pick up on previous episodes of this as well. If you've loved what you've heard today, do go and check out Niran's music, and also share this amongst your friends. Imagine an actually interesting conversation about music. We will be back soon with more of the same. Until then, bye for now.